we in some kind of sewer?
I think that it is a little more complex than that. This is the labyrinth that spreads underneath the city, the place where all the waste of the nightmares go. But it doesn't matter. You were right after all. There is no turning back now.
What was that? Did you see it?
Sadly, yeah.
Malekith smiled as he walked through the cathedral. The pieces were already perfectly positioned on the board. The only thing left to do was to start the final game. Everything he did over the past many decades was aimed at this moment, and it was about to end. Once outside, he looked at his forces, extending across the horizon. Someone like him, who was born with nothing, had achieved what no other being in the world's history could even dream: to unify all the forces of Gaia under his command. Now he controlled the largest armies on the continent, and even kings and emperors followed his instructions. Contemplating that breathtaking spectacle, Malekith could not help but remember the price he had to pay to get there. He had paved his way with the blood of friends and enemies, becoming both a savior and a monster. All that for a promise, for the hand that he was forced to let go. Now the fate of all rested on his shoulders. There was one last battle to win. One battle which would allow him to see the world change. Malekith walked forward, and thousands of troops stepped aside in unison to make way. And so the greatest general of all time advanced towards his destiny.
Run! Go back to the light!
What is that thing? That huge mass of darkness?
That's a fragment of Malekith, a guardian made by a shard of his conscience. In this place, he is like a god. We can't fight him here. The darkness would devour us. We need to find his real body if we want to stand a chance.
And what will happen if it finds us?
Let's use the light. We will be safe inside. Or at least I hope so.
This door. I can't pass through.
Shit! Run! Oh, come on, baby. Is this the fastest you can go? We need to book it.
I wish I could simply put a zipper in your mouth. Malekith opened his eyes with difficulty. The indescribable pain he felt made him understand that, at least for a few minutes, he was still alive. Over his shoulder was a black bird, pecking him over and over, trying to wrest a piece of flesh from the wounds of his neck. With blood running down his face, he looked around and saw a gruesome spectacle that made him recall his childhood. Swarming as far as he could see were hundreds of thousands of corpses, with countless crows feeding on them. Malekith grabbed his head and began to laugh. First, the sound came out as a silent whisper from his throat, but soon, his laughter was so loud that the crows around him fled aghast. Finally, he understood. Destiny itself, the same one that reserved for him the greatest role ever in history, had again played its cards in the most ironic way. The child who was born with nothing had gotten everything. He had won the battle that could not be won. But despite his victory, in the end he would die, without being able to see the very world that he had changed. With a laughter that could not conceal his disdain, Malekith cursed the heavens, cursed hell, and forsook his own existence. And once again, as he had done decades ago, he heard the screams he had long forgotten. Like when he was a child, Malekith looked directly into the darkness, but this time he did not avert his gaze. His sister was not with him anymore. He had nothing left. "I am the world," the voice in the dark said, "the world that mankind desired." It kept whispering those words in Malekith's ear until he expired. You know Malekith? The Lord of Nightmares?
More or less. He was one of the people I used to hang out with in the old times. Not exactly a friend, but he was really an interesting fellow. He always babbled about a city of nightmares, a place of dark dreams where he would be a god. If nothing else, he thought big. I respect that. Meeting him here? Well, I can't say that this is the reunion I had in mind.
In that moment, all the crows rushed towards him, wrapping his body as if they were going to devour it. Their cries were so deafening and their movements so frantic that rather than a flock of birds, they seemed an immense mass of living darkness. The battlefield was filled with feathers, falling from the sky like black rain. Anything they touched changed, as if they were opening a door to a world full of shadows. And then, out from the flock, came something darker than any abyss. With a gesture, the bird spread across his back, taking the form of 2 huge black wings that covered the sky. Malekith looked at the heavens and opened his arms. What was left of him was not even a mortal creature anymore. In that broken carcass, there was only fear and nightmares. An ultimate horror that even shadows would learn to fear.
This is the end! This is the end!